You're listening to In Sickness, a caregiving podcast from the Negative Space with Allison Breininger and Justin Bima. Good morning, Allison.
Hi, Justin. How are you?
I'm continuing to do, things are going well, I think.
Yay!
I had last weekend one of my annual birding trips where I go out into the ocean on the boat.
Love it.
And see all the different birds that live out there and rarely come to land, and you have to kind of go out to see them. And it was just, the water was perfectly calm. It was just a beautiful day. It's always just such a magical, refreshing, restorative, just lovely experience. And I took kind of a scenic drive to get there. And so just kind of took my time, experiencing the beauty of Washington on the way over. So it's always feels good to do that trip and to kind of, it's a refreshing kind of reset to do that.
I love that. And I love, as I think about people who are listening who they're like, I can't even go to the grocery store. You know what I mean? And so I just think about, and actually this ties into what we're going to talk about today, but is like that there was a time when you couldn't just be like, I'm going to go leave for a night. Right. And that this is a very different time and that you've experienced times where like, I can't leave the house. I can't leave my person. Right.
Yeah.
Which is where a lot of caregivers that are listening are. And love for you that you're in a stage where you're like, yeah, I can go somewhere overnight. Everything's fine.
Yeah. And I think even the first time I did this, which is maybe like 5 years ago, it involved, prepping for me to be gone. Whether that's making sure that Sarah had some meals easy to grab, ready to go. It was certainly a more preparing work ahead of time to be able to be gone for, 2 days.
Sure.
Whereas, now it's so much different.
Sure.
And amazing that that's where things are currently. Yeah.
Yes. So happy for you.
Yeah.
I think I want to never, and I don't think you do, but I want to never let you like take that for granted, because it's huge.
It is.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Thank you. How are things going over there?
Oh, not so good. Yeah. It's funny. Somebody reached out who had just listened to the last episode and said, I'm so glad that you guys are in a quiet moment right now. And I was like, that's because we recorded 2 weeks ago. So, but we were that day.
Yeah. Right.
Since then, Sean had another Mose. It was just terrible. And then, so 3 Moses. One was so intense they needed to do a skin graft. It's terrible. And so then while he was there, they did 3 more biopsies. So then the next day, as he's healing, we get the MyChart message that all 3 are cancer. And so then they call and they say, okay, time to schedule another one. And it just feels relentless.
Yeah, that's...
So I'm feeling weary.
Yeah.
Soul weary, I feel like. Just, and the wound care is super intense. You know what I mean? And it's gross. And it's just like seeing your person and then seeing him, you just get bandages all over his face and his hand. And so just the constant reminder of what just happened, even just like looking at him is rough. And so it's just like, so yeah. So it feels like, like last time we talked about coming out of the crisis.
Yeah.
This time feels less sort of like crisis-y. I don't know. It's more just like sad or something,
Yeah, it's like I don't know. I don't want to speak for you, but you've experienced this, what you're going through right now, a multitude of times, which is terrible, awful. And it's like, it is that roller coaster that you mentioned. I don't know which last episode, maybe that you're just
the merry-go-round.
The merry-go-round. Yeah, not roller coaster. It feels different because it's not like this. It feels less crisis-y because it's just kind of the repetitive slog of this.
Maybe,
or is it?
I don't know.
But it's still terrible. I mean,
it's still terrible.
What
it
words
feels
doesn't
less,
matter.
Less. I think like before it was a little like jarring. Like what just happened?
Okay. Yeah.
What? Like more like nervous system, like on alert kind of thing. Whereas this is more just like slog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah. So we're just trying to trek our way out of that. And then this week is He has an ENT checkup.
Okay.
And you know what happened last time they did that. So we're just kind of 1 minute at a time in over here. So yeah, that's that. Yep. So that's me.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. I mean, I'm glad I'm here in a space with you and with our listeners where I can say that. And I know I don't have to hold my breath and worry that you're going to say, well, at least.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like you're not going to do that. So that helps.
Good.
Yeah. What are we talking about today?
So, as I understand it, what we're talking about today is we're talking about how caregiving kind of changes as time moves on, as we're moving through, whether that's different life phases, as the experience shapes us, as we kind of go from being fresh, overwhelmed, like energetic, trying to figure this out, caregiving, to, you know, weary, worn down, exhausted, but maybe more experienced, and just kind of how we journey through that, and how, I don't know, there may be things that we can take from how things used to be or how things are now, and kind of, I don't know, see what we can learn. Maybe we'll see.
Sure. Yeah. And I don't think we always have to learn something.
No, that's fair. That's fair. We can just talk about it.
Yeah.
So for you, I guess, because I think it's different, a little different between the two of us, the start.
Sure.
I mean, I know that leading up to, like, the bone marrow transplant is kind of the big, like, kickoff kind of from a caregiving perspective for you, as far as how you've talked about it. But I know that there was like a lot of like what is going on leading up to that. So but you know, you had an acute, like, he went into the hospital, walking in and left in a horrible, and you were on at that point.
Yes.
Whereas for myself, it was a very like slow decline to where it took a lot longer to be like, wait, this is not something that we're gonna fix quickly, and it kind of easing into it. So I think the kickoff can be different.
Sure.
How did I mean, as for you, from your perspective, how did the start kind of feel? Or can you talk about the early days, sort of?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had about a year of just trying to figure out, like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
Right. And going back and forth to the Mayo Clinic, which was like 90 minutes away, and trying to find, like, do testing, and, you know, people just didn't know.
I can relate to that
going on. Yeah. Right. So we had about a year of that. And then it was like then we got the diagnosis, and then it was like, okay, now it's time to meet with the expert. Now it's time for the transplant. So I think, I mean, and so at that point, that was 14 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So I was 31.
Okay.
Right. And so if you paint the picture of, like, I'm 31, Maya was 3.5 she was 4.5. She was 3.5 when it all. So she came to Minnesota when she was 2.5.
Yeah.
3.5 is when his symptoms started.
Okay.
4.5 is when we got the diagnosis. Right. So I'm 31 and I have a 4.5-year-old, who is like transracially adopted, like new to the country, all of the things.
Right.
And I was trying to remember, like, what, at that point I had a job that was like a 40-hour a week, like,
right.
I mean, technically at a desk, but like I was out in the field kind of thing. Right.
Okay. But you were not working from home at that point. You were.
No.
You're right.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was driving around. I was like visiting schools and things like that. But I had like 8 to 4.
Yeah.
5 days a week. This is what you do. Right. So, I mean, like, when I think about like that, I'm like, who was that, Allison? Right. Like, that's like so far, like so many things have changed, which is what we're going to talk about today. And so, like, just what life looked like.
Yeah.
Right. So me being 31, right? Like, I was like a fresh little baby.
Yeah. Right.
Seems so young. I didn't feel like it then. Right. But in retrospect. So, I mean, I think I was young. I was naive. I didn't have any medical experience. I don't know that there was anything in my life where, like, I had known really people who were sick, or, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have any of those connections. So I think I was sort of fresh in that way. Right. But also that meant that like, I didn't know any of the things that I know now, which, I wish I didn't have to learn any of these things, but at the same time, I didn't. So I think one piece of that was sort of not like, at one point when we were trying to figure it all out, they were like, okay, well, you can get this appointment, but it's going to take months and months. And I was just sort of like, okay.
Right.
And it was family members who were like, no, you need to advocate and you need to go to the Mayo Clinic and you need to pull your connections. And I was sort of like, oh, right. And so I think that's one thing I've been reflecting on is like sort of my understanding of the system.
Yeah.
And sort of even my role in the system is that in the beginning, I was just sort of like, well, they said it's going to take months. So then that's what they said. Whereas now I would be like, absolutely not.
Right.
And I've got the Rolodex of like who I'm going to call and the skills. And so I feel like that's just one way of that it has changed is just sort of like not just sort of taking their word for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you have a parallel?
Well, I was just going to say, I think that's a big one because I think for a number of caregivers, this is potentially their first like real serious in-depth interaction with the medical system.
Yeah. Hopefully,
beyond beyond maybe
Yeah.
like their primary care doctor and routine checkups and that kind of thing, to where you don't know that you can advocate. It's just kind of like, okay, these are the experts, I'm gonna just, that's what they're saying. Okay. And it takes time and other people's prodding sometimes, which sometimes can or cannot be helpful when other people are trying to be like, well, you should be doing this and you should be doing this. And why aren't you doing this? And why aren't you doing that? So that piece can be overwhelming as well early on when people are giving all of their opinions on how you should approach this and who you should be talking to and on what kind of timeline. Yeah, for sure. And I certainly remember early on, it's like, okay, here's this batch of symptoms we're trying to figure out. Primary care doctor kicks us to a specialist and we're like, okay, we're seeing a specialist. The specialist is going to know what's going on.
Sure.
And I think, so that was, I think, a rheumatologist for Sarah's fibromyalgia. And she was like, so yes, I think you have fibromyalgia. This is something I can diagnose, but it's not something I can treat. So kind of kicking us back to the primary care doctor. And it's like, well, what was that? And it took us a long time to like, and then we found a specialist because we're still trying to figure out, like, find someone who is like going to take an active role in what do we do here?
Yeah.
Potentially not yet understanding that, okay, turns out the way things are with the medical system, that's our job. Right. Yeah. So we went to Seattle to see a specialist and kind of got a rough kind of treatment plan for how to potentially help that her primary care doctor could like enact, and that kind of doing that. And then I remember, she was having these migraines as well, and we ended up seeing a neurologist for that. Brought up the fibromyalgia, and she's like, "Oh, I treat that," and it was just like, okay, that's great, but why did we get bounced around so much?
Well, it makes me think about like, I don't know what the word is, that in the beginning, maybe we have this sort of like shiny hope or like belief in the system.
Yes.
Right. Like ideal. I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but that like in the beginning, we're like, oh, we're going to go to a doctor and they're going to fix it.
Yes.
We're going to go to the Mayo Clinic, or you said, we're going to go to Seattle. Right. And they're going to have the answers because that's how this works. Right. And so we have this sort of idealistic view maybe in the beginning, if we've never done anything before, like if we've watched House or Grey's Anatomy, and we're like, we're going to get a big whiteboard out and figure it out. Exactly. Right. That's what happens. And now, X number of years later, I think that if once you've been in it, it's sort of we're like, oh, no. I see the reality of the system. I see that it's broken. I see all of that, and I feel like so often lately I've been having conversations with caregivers and trying to get them to do things like don't sleep in the hospital bed next to your person every night for the next 40 nights kind of thing. Because I'm like, there's there are people who are paid to be there. And at the same time, they know, and I know the system is broken. Right. And so it's like, yeah, but what if that person what if they don't answer the call light? And what if they miss something? And what if, and so it's like, as I'm trying to help caregivers, like not feel like they have to be on top of every little detail. It's sort of like, but kind of we have to be because the system is broken. And so it's almost like we had maybe rose colored glasses on in the beginning, and now we can like see clearly that like, right. And I think that can, I'll speak for myself, can feel deflating.
Yeah.
Like I miss 31-year-old Allison, who just thought that like the special people with all the degrees were going to figure it out and have an answer. And now I'm like, they're not going to figure it out. We might have to figure it out.
Right.
And so I feel like that's something that has happened over these years, is the understanding and the lack of faith, I guess, in the system and in the specialists, because we've learned too many times that they are too busy and too all the things, right? And so we can't just assume that it's going to do what it's supposed to do.
Oh yeah, and that reminds me of, figuring out that Sarah also had POTS.
Yeah.
And me, I think, reading something that said it was like something that people with, I don't know if we were on fibromyalgia or ME at the time, or where all of that was, but that can be something that they also is common to also have.
Yeah.
And I was like, those symptoms sound familiar. And so doing the thing of taking her pulse, like sitting down, laying down, standing up, and seeing how that changed, and making the graphs, and then like finding a doctor to be like, okay, present the information and be like, okay, here's this, we think it's this. And he's like, yeah, okay. And then kind of try getting some help in that direction. And similar later on with Sarah's infusions was like, that was something that she had found that people that she had connected with who were also had POTS and things like that was very helpful.
Yeah.
And so we had to convince, and I still cannot believe to some extent that we convinced them to do that and to put a central line in her, so that we could do that.
Right. So think about day one, Justin.
Right. I was going to say early day caregiver, Justin, like, we're going to convince a doctor to put a tube in her heart so that we can pump fluids in, like that. I can't handle that.
Right.
Like
or that you're going to be the one to know.
Yes, to advocate for that.
To know about it, to advocate for it, to like research it. Like if you said that to day one, Justin, like you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
No, I'm an engineer.
Right.
What do you mean? They're the doctors. They're supposed to be doing it.
You have the energy potentially early on to be like, to spend on that, but you don't have the confidence that you are in a position to advocate like that and to present potential treatment to the doctor. Right.
But I think it's also the piece of like, you don't think you need to.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't, I'll speak for myself. Like I felt like they're going to find the answers.
Yeah. Right.
Not me. Yep. Like what? This is my job. I'm an early childhood literacy specialist. Like, what do you mean? I'm going to find the thing. Like there was a time that I found an article that said people, I don't know, what was it? People with, I don't know if it was FA, something about like people who have had a bone marrow transplant shouldn't be on this drug because it can cause higher levels of skin cancer.
Oh.
And I presented it to their team and they were like, oh, shoot, you're right. And they changed the protocols for all the people to have them be on this drug instead of that drug. And then, which, both feels kind of cool, but is also like, I should not be
right. That's right. Yes, exactly.
Because then it's also like, what other research should I be doing in my spare time to, fix things? You said a second ago, well, we had the energy. And the funny thing is, I would bet if we talked to early days, Justin and Allison, we would not have said that we had the energy.
That's fair. I mean, you were just describing all that was going on in your life prior to that, and that made me feel exhausted.
Right. But I mean, even like being an early caregiver, like we didn't feel energized at the time. We
That's
probably
true.
felt
I think in retrospect, we feel so tired now. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. It's a comparison thing.
Right. So it's like you wish, because, I'm 14 years older and 14 big years.
Yeah.
Quite, quote, wiser and more tired, right? So in the moment, I didn't feel like I got all this energy, right? But now I think it's almost like more like beat down.
Yeah.
right, than I was because of what, like, I mean, I feel like I've experienced 1,000 lives in 14 years.
Yeah.
And so that is different than 31-year-old Allison, who was just like, here we go, it's the first thing, and right? And I even, when I say that, think about like now when we go to an appointment or we go to a thing and they open the chart and it's like this long chart, right? And even like what that's like, right? And so showing up and walking through it now, like, or even like, right, this week I'm doing wound care.
Yeah.
And somebody in one of my comments said something like, wound care never got easier for me.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, even though I've done this 1 billion times, it is. So there are some things that like, okay, maybe this got easier, this got whatever.
Yeah.
Other things, it's just more like I don't know, rubbing salt in an open wound. I guess that's maybe too close to home, but like, you know, like too much of like a repetitive, like, here we go again. And so there's something about that like the first time it was sort of like, okay, here we go. And we're going to do this thing. And now it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're still doing this thing.
Yeah.
You know? So there's that beat down, weary kind of like relentless merry-go-round part of it.
Yeah.
That in the beginning was not there yet.
Yeah. I think the other piece in the beginning is you are thrown into this, and I think it may vary depending on what the diagnoses are, but you're like, okay, we're going to see doctors, we're going to get treated, this is going to get fixed, and we're going to get back to the life that we had before this started.
Yes.
And for some people, that is the case sometimes for some people. But a lot of people, that's not. And you have to get to that point where it's like, and that's a hard process to go through, where you're realizing we're not going back to where things were. This is forever changing how our life is going to be moving forward. And that's, I think, a big shift in caregiving from kind of those early days into the sort of middle ongoing, oof, this is my life now.
Yeah.
You know?
100%. And I feel like, especially like at our support group, so often that's, I think, a theme that comes up is just like, this is not ending, right? This is like, we're just the slog, the continuous slog, the relentless piece of this. And I remember that when Shauna's bone marrow transplant, then people were like, he's over the hill, right? Or not over the hill. That's the wrong, they're over the hump. Or, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yeah, I know what you mean.
And it was sort of like, no, this is just one component of this disease. And even if, quote, if he had only had the bone marrow transplant, like that's a lifelong thing, right? And so I think that even if like in your situation, right, her symptoms are so much improved right now, whatever, and you are both, I would guess, forever changed.
Yes, 100%.
From that middle section that happened. So even if it's the kind of thing where it's like, you know, someone, let's say they have cancer and then they're in remission and there's no sign of disease and whatever, it's not just like, okay, we're back. Right? Even if the acute moments of caregiving and illness are over for right now, like you are forever changed from what you've experienced. Yeah. And I think that's something that the people don't always remember. The outside people don't remember. Yeah.
I mean, it's like a soldier going off to war. I mean, not that we have to make caregiving and illness a battle, war, all those analogies, but like soldier going off to war comes back, you're forever changed. Forever changed.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've been through it.
Yes. And I think that, you know, they're starting to realize that like caregivers have PTSD.
Yeah.
You know, because of like, I hate these words, but like combat, right? Like what we have witnessed and what we have experienced and what we have gone through. And so, and we didn't realize that in the beginning. I mean, I think in the beginning I was like, oh, we're not done. But I think I didn't have a picture certainly of like long, like once, you know, I've been in the cycle for a while, you're like, oh, this is what this is going to look like. Right. And in the beginning I had, you know, I had no idea. I couldn't have painted a picture of what that might be, you know? Yeah.
So I think the other piece with that transition into, oh, this is a long-term thing, our lives are changed, is in the beginning, because you don't know, because this is all new, because you think you're going to get back to life. Like, you're not potentially identifying as a caregiver. You're not seeking out resources for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're just think, okay, we're going to get through this so I can drop everything. I can go at 100 miles an hour. I can burn the candle at both ends because this is not going to last forever, because we're going to get through this.
Sure.
And boy, that cannot continue forever. And part of, I think, going through that, okay, this is it now, is, okay, this is a role that is, as a caregiver, is a thing that I am now going forward. And that's where often I think people get to the point of like, okay, I need resources. I need support. I need help. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody was just talking about that the other day, about how like a caregiver said to this organization, I've had your brochure on my desk for 4 years.
Wow.
And I looked at it, but it was just now that I finally, and I think that's part of it, is like the beginning. It's like, well, it's just like a little blip, like it's a thing, and we'll get through it, and I'll be fine. I'm not, but I think what you said about the identifying, like, I'm not really a caregiver. It's just this, and then after a while, it's like, oh, shoot. This is actually hip. Like this is for real. There can be a little healthy denial, maybe.
Exactly.
Right.
Or thinking that you should be able to do it all on your own.
Yeah.
Like, you don't realize that is, one, impossible, and two, should never be the case. I mean, that's not how things were ever intended to be, I don't think.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think about, when I was 31, I didn't really know other people who were going through this. And now that I'm 45, I think a lot of my peers are now starting to be caregivers for their parents.
Yeah.
And so it feels like a little bit more like there's a little, I mean, certainly, and I have all of this community, but I think that even if I didn't, there's way more people who are starting to like be like, oh, right. Whereas when I was 31, everybody's just out like living their lives, and it was there's nobody else really in my peer group who was going through anything, any kind of caregiving.
Yep.
And so that's I don't want to say it's a benefit, right? Because certainly I wish nobody had to do it, but it feels less lonely.
Yes. At
this age. And I think the more I age, the more my peers are going to be also caregiving, and which can just help with the isolation piece when you're like, oh, I'm not
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say for a second just about like the parenting piece.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking that the other day after we talked about the crisis, after the crisis one last time, is that like, I was saying like, oh, I can just read and garden and nap, right? That is because like I'm an empty nester, and I'm my own boss. Right. So 14 years ago, I was working a 40-hour-a-week job for somebody else in an office, and I had a toddler. Right. And so I was thinking like if 30-something-year-old Allison had listened to that episode, she would have been like, yeah, cool. And so, because at that point, and I think it was the having a little kid around was, I don't want to say a blessing and curse, because certainly not a curse, right? But there were certain times that I'd like at the hospital all day or whatever, and then I'd come home and I'd be like, and now I'm going to do like bath and bedtime, right? Which sounds like the last thing you want to do. However, when you have a 5-year-old who's like, let's have a dance party, right? It's actually delightful.
Yeah.
And so there were certainly moments of that, of like, it made me sort of like have this extra bit of life or joy or like dance around or whatever that was, because there was a kid around. Yeah. And it's totally exhausting. Yeah. Because whereas now I can be like, I'm just going to take a nap whenever I want to. Like that is not the case, right? When you have a small child. Plus, not to mention all of the managing of like, how is this person feeling about their father and all of the things, right? Right. So that's just something that I would say too, for me, is like the, how it has shifted being like a parent of like a toddler and then a preschooler and then an element, we've gone through every stage now. She's 18, right? Yeah. And that has certainly been a part of like my life has looked really different based on what age she has been. And so therefore that has impacted like what my caregiving and support has looked like, Right. For sure. Yeah.
You mentioned there that, at the start you were working your, 40-hour a week job for someone else. Today you are your own boss and kind of you went through, I think, a period where you were working remotely for a while.
Yep.
Before that. So you've kind of had a progression there that I'm sure has made a big difference on your life as a caregiver. For myself, I've been in the same job, the same role through it all and through now. And I look back at me at the start and feeling very timid about like, hey, I need to take off early because my wife isn't doing well today. I think about, just, I don't know. I remember like prepping a thermos of hot water and a bowl with a, oatmeal packet in it so that she, and, putting that in the room so that she could have breakfast after I left for work. And just, I don't know, thinking about the state that she was in and I was going to work, and that felt like, I mean, it did not feel normal, but it felt like that's what had to happen.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't other options, kind of.
Sure.
We were kind of stuck there. And certainly over the years, getting better at realizing that I can kind of advocate for myself and what I need as far as work. Like I mean, this isn't related to the caregiving, but I think back to, I don't remember how many years ago, several years ago, feeling completely burned out and just needing time off for myself and taking, a leave for myself.
Yeah.
And how helpful that was for me. And had I known at the time, like how much not a big deal that was to like ask for, get, and make happen. Right.
Sure. Yeah.
I think I would have done something like that earlier on to be able to take more time to be home for her, and pushing to work from home earlier. I mean, certainly, I mean, that kind of started with a pandemic, right? For me working from home, and it's been a big part of work for me since then. Yeah. And that's been very helpful through this time as she's gotten better, but that would have been really great to be able to have been around more then. And I think if I look, I think there were some times I'd work home some afternoons in the week. So I'd kind of started doing that, but just the level to which I am comfortable now asking for what I need. Yeah. And, part of that it helps that I've been at this job 20 years and, I have a decade more of seniority and all of that since that was going on, and feel more secure in my job than I did then, maybe. So that, I mean, that's a big difference. But for me, that, has been a shift over the years, is just the amount that I felt okay with doing what I need, and work will figure things out on their end. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you feel like part of the hesitation in the beginning was because it was like unclear, like what's going on with her, or you didn't have a name? Do you know what I mean? Was it was that part of it too? Like, well, I don't know how to say. Like if it had been something like cancer, right? Something like super clear cut. Do you think you would have been?
I think that would have helped. Yeah. I think part of it too is at the beginning. I mean, back to what we said, like this is a blip, and we're going to get through it. And so it's just like, we're going to, this isn't something I need to figure out how to truly manage both of them. And I think the other piece too is just, working 40 hours a week and then caregiving. Oh, it's exhausting. Yeah. I mean, sometimes working 40 hours a week is really exhausting. Yep. Just on itself. And learning, maybe, I can't say that I'm still great at, like, work is one of the things that when work is very stressful, I'm stressed in life. Like it still is a thing that, as far as, I mean, since Sarah's doing much better, it's probably the single biggest external influence on how I'm feeling. Which I don't love at all. That's that way. But yeah, having an additional external stressor, it just makes it all so much harder. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think that because, I had, like I said, at the beginning, I had this 40-hour week job, and then I moved to being like a contractor at a different part of the job. Yeah. Why did you make that change? It was like a job opportunity change. Okay. So
And I don't know that I at that moment was like, oh, great. Like my caregiving life, this will help with, you know what I mean?
Right. It wasn't for that reason that you
it wasn't
to
for
change.
that reason. Right. But I was a contractor, which was great because then I could schedule things the way I wanted. But then the good and bad of that is when you don't work, you don't get paid.
Right.
And then at the very end, before I left, they were like, we really need you to be an employee because we want you to be the director.
Right.
And I just kept pushing back and be like, I don't want to be an employee. I don't want to be. And so but I think I had to be, I don't know, it's all a blur now. So I think for like a year I was, but I was just basically like, but I'm going to call my own shots because this is the way it is. Right. But I think in the beginning, I would be like, he would have a big thing and then I'd be right back like the very next day. You know, there was like a couple of moments where I was like, I'm going to take a little leave. This is super intense for a week or two, whatever. But then like the very next day I'd be like, boop. And they were like, what are you doing here? Right. And I didn't understand. I didn't understand the buffer piece. I didn't understand I needed a buffer. I didn't understand it was okay to take a buffer. Like it took me a long time, like our last episode, right, to realize like we need that decompression time. We need that recovery time. And that's vital. And that's part of it. And I think in the beginning with my job, I would just be like, okay, well, technically he is no longer like in crisis. Therefore I should be back at work. And now I have learned like that's not how that calculates. Right. You know, like we need to build in this time afterwards, right, for that. I wonder too about culture change because in the last 14 years, I feel like, and I hope that you and I have contributed to this, is people are talking about caregiving.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. There's more, not as much as I would like, but there's more recognition in the world for like, oh, it's hard to be a caregiver.
Right.
And it's a lot to be a caregiver. And I think that, and again, this is part of my mission is like to get people talking about it and to saying that it's hard. And so I hope that is something that has changed in the last 14 years is that people feel more able to say, my person has this thing or whatever's going on and I am a caregiver and I need this support or I'm going to take this day or I'm going to whatever. Right.
Yep.
And so I hope that is something that has changed in the culture. I think also with, like you said, with the pandemic, now so much is remote.
Right.
You know, and that makes things like, I mean, caregivers needed that.
Telehealth.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That's game changing.
For sure.
I mean,
for sure.
That would have been so incredibly powerful.
Yes.
The years when Sarah we could get out of the house to an appointment once a month.
Right.
And then she would recover for like
a month,
at least 2 weeks, maybe have a normal week.
Right.
And when I say normal week, that is not like
right. No,
that is not normal. It's just she was no longer recovering and she had a little bit of energy, but she's still in bed.
Right.
Which, but if those appointments could have been just telehealth and she could have just sat up in bed and we just talked to the doctor there, like, we would have been able to accelerate
absolutely
so much because we wouldn't have had to ration out the appointments to that level that we did.
Right.
I mean, that's been a huge shift since the pandemic that I think has probably benefited a lot of caregivers. Yeah.
So I think that technology and the technology of us being able to work from home.
Yes.
Although I think that for some people that can be tricky because then it's almost like they're, like caregiving. And
you're a full-time caregiver, which you are.
Full-time caregiver and full-time working and all the things at the same time. Right. But I just think that I hope that our culture is moving in the direction of making life. There's more awareness. There's more resources. There's more all of that for caregivers than there was 14 years ago. Yeah. And, with the work that you and I are doing, I hope that just continues to grow. I wonder, so, I mean, I think, so we've talked about sort of like the culture change, our age is different. Like we're more mature and wise, hopefully, but we're also more just tired because we've aged, but also tired because what we've gone through.
Yeah.
I think our eyes are more like wide open to like what this is, the reality of this long term, what the system is and what the system isn't. In my case, my job has shifted significantly. My parenting life has shifted significantly. We talked about our peers and like how, maybe there's that piece. Are there other pieces that we've missed of like what, sort of the then versus now?
I think one area where this experience has changed me is, you said earlier that you didn't, your peers were not caregiving. You didn't know people that were caregiving. Probably true, but also, at the beginning, I don't think I saw people who were in that role, or like going through this has opened my eyes to be more aware of the difficult things that the people around me are going through, because you've lived it, you've experienced it, and somehow that opens up your eyes to see it. I feel more the empathy more. I mean, not that I wasn't not empathetic towards that, but you just are so much more aware of how hard life is for so many people and the things they're going through, that I think that's a big shift that can happen. And I mean, you see that in caregivers wanting to support other caregivers. You know what I mean? Like, you have people that show up for you who are also caregivers, and it's just like, that's great, but let's also get the people who aren't doing that. So I think and I think that's not that this is a bright sidey thing, but that is a positive thing that I see, that I feel more aware of that kind of stuff. So that's another shift that I see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What about, like you mentioned a second ago, about like we want other people to show up. So what about our supporters?
Yeah.
Because one thing I think about that is the long haul piece. And thinking about like when, like we maybe in the beginning thought it was a blip, and our supporters probably maybe thought it was a blip. And so, people, especially not so much, I think it's different between our situations, right? When it's a bone marrow transplant, it's cancer, people rally and they like get it and they're like, here's the lasagna, right? And unfortunately, that is not the case when it's something like what Sarah has dealt with, or dementia or aging, and like so many of these other things. But so in my case, and we've had waves of it, but certainly there's people who I can tell they are tired of. I mean, that they're like, yep, we did the casseroles. We did it. And you're still going through this? Yes, we are.
Yep.
And so I think for supporters to realize, like, just because time has gone on doesn't mean that it's not, they don't still need help.
Yep.
And they, just because the caring bridge isn't as updated, or the whatever isn't as active, doesn't mean that this family still doesn't need help. Right. And so, so for supporters to sort of be like, how can you be steadfast, and how can you continue to check in with people as time goes on?
Yeah, I think it can very much be in the early days, the initial diagnoses, the first stage of whatever it is, that's when supporters are most aware of it. It seems like that's in a lot of cases. And that's when they're offering help. That's what they see it. They want to help the caregiver maybe is in a place where they don't realize they need that help. Right. And so they may be less likely to accept all that help that is available at that point. And then as time goes on, the support wanes, the caregiver gets more tired, hits that point when they realize, I can't do this alone. I need help. Where are the supporters?
Yes.
And that's a tough one. And it's, that should not be on the caregiver at that point to say, hey, supporters, where are you?
Right.
We need the people around us to continue to be there, to be with us throughout. And also to know that this is not something we can do alone. It's not something that we were ever designed to do alone.
Nope.
We're meant to do this in community, to be dependent on other people. And I mean, maybe it's, if you were there doing all the things in the first year, you're tired from all that supporting, and but the caregiver and the person going through it probably also too. So maybe then recruit some other people, help build that network of support. So I think that's the number one thing here for for supporters, is to see it as a long-term thing
Mm-hmm.
and to help build that community of support around the caregiver and the person who's sick to help stay with them for the long term.
Yes. Because I get my heart breaks when I support someone in like creating an IanaCare account, or something like that, or putting out an ask and saying, okay, I do need some help. And then it's crickets.
Yeah, that's because it's so hard to get to the point where you're like, okay, I am going to ask for help. It feels so vulnerable. It feels so like exposed. And
I've tried to convince people like, no, your people are there and they want to help you. And then when they put it out there and then the community doesn't show up, the person's like, see? Yeah. And it's like, come on, people. So that's why like the second branch of the negative spaces work is to support supporters.
Yeah.
And educate supporters, because again, it's like it can't just all be the caregivers picking up the pieces for each other, because we're already tired, right? And so supporters, how can you see that and think today about like, who is somebody in your life who's been doing this for a long time? And, like if you're a person who goes to church or whatever, like who's the person? Like we are at the top of the prayer list because for 14 years, everybody else above us has died. So he is at the top of the prayer list, which is amazing. But also like, that means we're still in it, y'all. Right. And so who are those people and how can you reach out to them and just say like, hey, and even if it's not the lasagna, to say like, hey, I just was thinking about you and that you've been doing this for a long time. And I would imagine that maybe you're feeling tired. And I just wanted you to know that you're not forgotten. Like, what? Like, I would love that text. I would love that, And so yes, the critical or like the logistical support is huge, but just like the remembrance, because I think that's a piece of it too, is that like in the beginning, it was like, everybody's like, what's going on? And now it's like, is anybody out there? I mean, I don't really feel like that. We have an amazing community, but you know what I mean? Like sometimes it's like, I feel like people are tired of us. They're tired of like, you guys are still going through that. Like, and we're like, yes, yes, we are. And so how can you help the people in your life know that they are still remembered even 14 years in, and that they will continue to be remembered and supported no matter how long this goes on.
Yeah. And I think that's like doing a big gesture or in like a intense support thing once versus like setting yourself as a supporter up for the long haul. And like some things can be small, but if it is consistent, that can be so helpful. Both actually like lightening the load helpful, but also there is someone here with me.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
And I think, those are the things that are so meaningful to me, like it's a text message from somebody or somebody like that I went to college with that I don't talk to very often sends through a text, a DoorDash card and says, use this as a treat or use this for groceries, like whatever you need, you get to decide. Like that took her 5 minutes. Right. But for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's thinking about us. She saw that this thing is going on and or didn't or whatever. And is thinking about us. Like, wow, like that's huge. And so it doesn't have to be enormous. It's more of just the like, help them know that they are still thought of and remembered and loved and seen after it all, Yeah. I just want to like, I don't know. I was like, do I want to celebrate? I don't know. There's part of it too that's like, we've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like for a second, I was like, I want to celebrate that, but now I don't know if I want to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
I mean, obviously, the fact that we've been doing this for a long time means our people are still here.
Yes.
Right. And like, I guess maybe it's that I want to congratulate. I don't know the right word. I want to say to you and to me and to all the caregivers who are listening, like, good job.
Right.
Like, you have been doing this thing for however long, and it's really hard.
Yep.
And you are still trucking along one step at a time. And good job, you.
Yeah.
It's sort of that like, well done, good and faithful servant, right? Like, it's like, just keep, you've been doing it and we see you, and it's the long haul, and this isn't easy, and good job.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want someone to give us a sticker or something.
Yeah. We should get stickers more often.
Get stickers. All right. Anything else on the topic that you want to add?
No, I think this has been a good conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
I've always find it interesting going back and thinking about like how things were in the early days, and kind of how the arc or the, of this journey. It's always interesting to kind of see how, because you don't always, you're so often with caregiving, I think, stuck in that moment, and like you don't have time to reflect. You don't have time for any of that, but it's interesting to go back and see, and not to, to see how maybe you are more capable, the thing more now. Certainly that does not come without a cost.
Sure. Right.
To you physically, mentally, emotionally, all of that. But yeah.
I know. I think because we've gone through so much that it all can feel like a blur sometimes. And so it is interesting to be like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That was this same person. No wonder I'm tired. Right. Like this same body has gone through all those things. So yeah. Well, we'll have a support group on this. Love those conversations, my friends. Are just powerful and beautiful. So join us if you're able and interested. Caregivers of all kinds are invited and welcome. And if you just want to sit back and listen and you don't have to talk or engage, that's fine too. Or if you ever have any questions about like, what are those support groups like before you join, just reach out. And I'm happy to share that with you.
How do people find out about, or how do people get to the support group?
Yeah. So a couple ways. One is when we do the post about the podcast, there's always a link for registering.
Yep.
I always do the day afterwards, the day after the podcast. I always post about the support group as well.
Okay.
But you can also go to the negativespace.life website and you can sign up to get support group alerts.
Okay, great.
And so then we'll just email you into your inbox every time that we schedule one. And then you can just register from that. So a couple different ways. But,
great.
And also one quick plug. Caregiver Con, Minneapolis, November 1st. Justin will be here.
I will be there.
And we are going to do a live taping of the In Sickness podcast.
Yeah.
So would love to see you there if you're local or if you are up for traveling. If you're not, we realize that's not available to a lot of people. We will be filming a lot of the sessions. And so and then making those available afterwards. And so we know travel is not always an option for caregivers, but if it is and you want to join us, we'd love to see you. So go to caregivercon.com to register. So
great.
Yeah. Lots of good things coming up.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
All right, my friends, you have a good day and we'll see you next time.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. You've been listening to In Sickness. Find us online at insickness.care or on Instagram at InSicknessPodcast. You can send your questions and comments to hosts@insickness.care. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with a friend or fellow caregiver. Thanks for listening and take care.